Glaciers are melting, sea levels are rising, forests are dying, and wildlife are trying to keep up. Over the past 100 years, humans have caused greenhouse gases, which trap heat and are evolving as we change our generation. People think the little things they do will not affect global warming, whether they're good or bad. But with greenhouse gases being higher now than they have been in the past 800,000 years, that is certainly not true. Studying environmental science last semester, I became very interested and did a lot of research and observations about global warming. To really grasp the effects of global warming, that how it came about, what effects it is having, and what effects it will have, it is important to be well educated and know the subject and also know what you can do to prevent it and help it. We will address how global warming came about, what it's doing, and how we can help and prevent it and save the climate around us. First, I want to explain how climate change came about. To begin, we will discuss the surface of global warming. Scientist Svante Arrhenius in 1896 discovered the possibility of greenhouse gases in global warming. He and his colleague Thomas Chamberlain calculated the greenhouse effect and the temperature raise that would happen if global warming were to happen, but they were ignored for a while because it was thought that human actions were insignificant to nature. It was also thought back then that oceans would cancel out pollution because it was thought of as a carbon sink. Now that we know the origin and first thoughts of global warming, we can move into how global warming is affecting us today. The global temperature has risen by 1.33 degrees Fahrenheit in the past 100 years. This doesn't seem like a lot, but over half of this change has happened since 1979 per the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. This climate change has affected many U.S. landmarks, one being the Grand Canyon. It has moved the Grand Canyon's busy season forward more than 4 days, with its busiest season and day now being the 24th in June, where it used to be July 4th in 1979. It has also been altering mating season in all animals. The first example is the penguin. The penguin had a very unsteady mating season and could not figure out when to breed until March 2012 when it finally started to settle out. Also in the United States, more cats have been reported being in shelters and there have been more reports of feral and wild cats, which mean this climate change has prolonged cats' mating season. Also, primarily Arctic animals like polar bears are having a hard time surviving because they're having to swim days on end to find ice and their bodies just cannot tolerate this. The last effect I want to talk about is gene mutation. And an example of this is in fruit flies. So fruit flies are actually mutating their genes to where they're moving closer to the equator. And a fruit fly that looks like it will be on the southern hemisphere is actually on the northern hemisphere and vice versa. So now that we see and understand how desperate Earth is for our help, I will explain some ways we can contribute, slow down, spread awareness, and eventually stop climate change. The first is to talk about it with your family and friends. If you bring this up to your family and friends and you're passionate about it, they will more than likely be willing to make some changes or at least help you. The next is to choose a renewable energy source. A lot of places now use solar energy or wind energy, and that is a good alternative, and it puts out a lot less pollution and makes the earth a lot less warm. The next is to reduce waste. So that would be only using glass water bottles instead of plastic, water fountains, only cooking food you'll eat, and taking quarter-length showers than what you normally would take. The next and least known is keeping your tires inflated. If every American kept their tires inflated, it would save us 1.2 billion gallons of gas per year, also making our cars more efficient, which in turn means less pollution. So it's a win-win for everybody. Being educated on this dire global-wide issue could save so many animal, plant, and human lives. It affects us all. Being educated adds many years to this earth and your human life and your ancestors and people who will come after you. Knowing how global warming came about, what it is doing now, and what we can do to help it are very important. Helping by yourself is enough, and it's scientifically proven that you can just make a difference on your own. Removing toxins and replacing them with healthy alternatives should be important and well advertised because it is vital to reverse climate change in the world we want to stay beautiful. Here's my note cards, Dr. Min. Thank you.